Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see there, Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Up, the mic's still not working. There we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the PSGL YouTube channel for round number 6 of this PCF2 season. Tonight we are headed to one of the most iconic circuits on the Formula 1 calendar. It is, of course, the Temple of Speed, Monza. An incredible circuit. It should make for an amazing race this evening. My name is Dan Field, back in the commentary box after 2 weeks. Nathan, I've missed out a few weeks. How's it going today?
Well, you've missed out quite a lot. Las Vegas itself wasn't the most interesting, but Austria, I think if we all remember back to last week, there was quite a chaotic ending. We had a safety car late in the race as Bradley Holden had an incident down at turns 9/10. Safety car, we had 2 laps to go, and half the grid went onto soft, and Havoc broke loose. We had about, I think it was close to 10 cars get involved in an incident on the final lap, with 3 of them exiting the track down at turn 8. It was something. Max Wiesel was going to look to try and equal the championship with Tamas Gal. Unfortunately, he ended up finishing 13th, so he didn't able to do that. So, yes, it was chaotic, and I think maybe that race could be a bit of a turning point for the championship and give Tamas a bit more of that advantage he needs.
Yeah, in the championship standings, of course, Tamas Gal is leading the way at the minute on 44 points, a whole race win ahead of Max Wiesel at the minute. It's looking very tight for second place at the minute. Max Wiesel level on points with Joost Noordijk. They're both on 28, and Daniel Shelson is on 26 in 4th. And 5th is Kian Gondorp, 6th Szymon Lekomski, 7th is Joseph Loke. And there's a bit of a drop off to the rest of the field, but that fight for second position is so close at the moment that it actually does add a lot of pressure to Tamas Gal, because one slip up from him means that one of 6 drivers are looking to try and take away that championship lead by the end of this race. So Tamas still does need to be on top of his game this evening, despite being so clear in the championship. Nathan, Tamas Gal, he's been in some great form so far this season, of course claiming 2 wins, one of them being in Hungary and one of them being in Las Vegas. I wonder how he's going to fare around Italy.
I was speaking to him earlier in the week, and he said he does enjoy the track, but we know sometimes that turmoil can be a bit of an issue. The chicanes as well, lots of RNG, so maybe that what that can do. But I think for Tamas's sake, he needs to push as hard.
I don't know if that's me or
Makes him
sorry, I don't know if that's me that's lagging or if it's you that's dropping off or something. I'm not too sure what's going on at the minute. Nathan, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Everything's fine on my end, at least.
You've just been cutting out for me.
Oh, do we need to restart? Do you want to join back?
I think it's okay now.
Okay.
What a way for me to come back here in what a way for me to come back here.
Not a great start.
No, not a great start at all. But I think everyone's had enough of us being on their screens. We've got qualifying, of course, up first. 18 minutes of this session to determine who is on pole position around a track like Monza. A lot of it really does need to be made in those crucial braking zones. A lot of time is going to be made or lost in that first corner, Nathan, of course, that very heavy turn number 1.
Indeed, I think this is quite, in a way, it is a bit of a tricky track because the braking are that hard and you're going to try and take as much corner speed through as you can. But we know lockups can happen. You can also have a bit of spin on the exit if you get too early on the power. So I think they do pose quite an issue. Then you've got obviously Ascari, which is a very difficult corner itself. It's a very high speed chicane, which you see many drivers sometimes get a bit too, a bit too high on those curves, and that can just spin the car around. And at that speed, there's nothing you can do to save the car, and that's where we've lost many cars in the past. So I don't know. I think it'll be quite an interesting race, but I think once the cars kind of settle in, we'll just kind of be in that groove where they'll just all follow each other around in a bit of a DRS train. Then we'll see them pit, and then it'll be the same again. I was watching the F3 stream earlier on, and they had nearly half the grid start on the soft, and then the other half of the grid on hard. So it kind of just settled in after 2 laps. All the soft runners got to the front of the field, all the hards were left at the back. So it was, yeah, I think the race itself right here isn't going to be the most interesting because people also don't want to take those risks in towards that first corner because it's, I think it's one of the most terrorising corners on the whole game. So it's not worth really, is it, making a send from 2 or 3 tenths back into that corner because we know one little bit of a mistake and you could have 2 or 3 cars out of that first corner.
Well, you're forgetting, Nathan, this is F2, so I think anything goes here. So I think we're in for a screaming race. But enough of us on your screens. Let's head over to the game scene and have a look at qualifying. And you can see this is 2019 Q3-esque. Where we've got all the cars just lining up in that first sector. Let's bring up the track map on your screen so you can see who is out first. It's one of the AlphaTauris. That will be either Tycho Hardy or Jerry Van Boesel, and it is the latter. Jerry Van Boesel in a decent spot at the minute. In that AlphaTauri is going to have all the clear air in the world. We'll see how we can cope today.
Yeah, but the issue he's got to face is maybe a few cars obviously causing a bit of traffic. You can see he's coming down towards our sky. There's a few cars just leaving the pit. But we know everyone likes to back each other up down towards the Parabolica. So hopefully he doesn't get held up. We'll see what happens. He's just coming through towards, as far as the high speed chicane is actually that's Max Wiesel through to be the first out to start lap. Remember, he's sitting second in the standings on Jordan points, I believe. Who is it now? It's Danny. Is it Kelsey? Is Jordan points in second/third? I know he's on the same points as someone at least, and he's just 16 points back from Tamas Gal. So just say that Max Wiesel won and took the fastest lap, and Tamas Gal didn't take any points. Then Max could take the lead by 1 point, and that will get rid of that 16-point advantage that Tamas has got. So Tamas is still going to be hot on his heels and also right on the back, and if not ahead of Max Wiesel in every single race he can be, as Max is now just started his lap, heading down towards turn 1, and this is where we'll see some very, very high speeds in these cars.
Yeah, we'll have a look at them. It's 350 kilometers per hour for Max Wiesel in the braking zone there as he weaves his way in through this first sector. It's back on the power immediately out of turn number 2 and taking towards the Curva Grande, completely flat right-hander at the end of the first sector, right on the curbs ever so slightly on the inside, and then keep it pinned to the right to get the best line in towards this next chicane. It's a 26.113 for Max Wiesel as he continues along this lap. T of 10 Grandpa really is kicking it with some of the young'uns these days as he heads now in towards Lesmo 1 and 2, some of my favourite personal corners around this track. Now off the exit and on towards this little straight here with the DRS wide open for Max Wiesel underneath the old configuration of Monza. We ride on board with the Red Bull driver, hearing that Honda engine absolutely roar. Is now in towards Ascari, the infamous triple chicane. Incredible stuff there from Max Wiesel. He's got yellow flags just in front of him. That would actually be his teammate making his debut this evening, Mas Grosspointer. Hopefully I've got that name right. That B on the left hand side, that's actually an S. I've been learning German recently. As Max Wiesel now off the exit of the final corner of Alboreto to come across the line. What is it going to be on the doors from him? The first time on the board it is a 118.256. We'll see how everyone else copes.
Yeah, we've got Jerry Van Bossel just coming through the final calls as well, see what he can do. Can he put himself quicker than Max Wiesel? To the line he goes. It'll be 3 tenths off the back of Max Wiesel. We've got one of the Hassie coming through. It won't be Joost Noordijk into the pit, so he won't complete that lap. Then we've got, I think, is it correct? No, it's Paul Eckermann, sorry, come through. He goes into third with an 18.563. Then we have Tycho Hardy going into fourth with a 0.696 with the Ferrari. We'll see who that is. Is it Bradley Holden coming through? No, it's Tamas Gal who takes the fastest lap by 0.06 of a second to Max Wiesel as he heads back down towards turn 1. He said he was quick around this track. He certainly is showing it knees at the moment. And Race Imtiaz into the top 3. Haven't seen him fight at the top much as Sergio Sabrino goes to the top with a 1.98. That's nearly just over half a tenth quicker than Tamas Gal. That is a surprise to see him up the top. That's great as well to see for the race clutch driver. I'll see driving in the Alfa Romeo. Daniel Kjelsen goes into second place, just 6 days. That's quicker than Tamas Gal. We've got a few more to come through. Daniel Kaya goes into the top 5. We've got, I think it's Jan Halliday in the Aston Martin just coming through towards Parabolica. We'll see what he can manage in these cars. His teammate Paul Eckelmeyer sitting in 9th position. Can he try and beat his teammate on the first laps here in qualifying? To line he goes, he will go into the top 5 with an 18.299, just ahead of Daniel Kaya with the other Red Bull of Mats Grospoint, who goes into 13th with an 18.763. But surprisingly, Dan, there's quite a big spread, isn't there, between 1st and 13th?
Yeah, very big gaps at the minute. Let's have a look at the gaps to the leaders. It's very tight at the top end of the field. Sergio Sobrino currently leading the way with a 1 minute 18.198, the only driver thus far to get into the 118.1s. But Daniel Kjelsen and Tamas Gal both within half a tenth of Sergio Sobrino, and then Max Wiesel's just looking in to that 500th of a second range. Then bit of a gap to Jan Halliday, just a tenth off the pole position at the minute, and then the gaps really do begin to form. Daniel Koya in 6th position, 7th is Race Imtiaz. Jerry Van Boosel 8th, 9th. Liam Stevens, could see him in the top 10, and then Paul Eckelmeyer rounding out that position. One driver that I'm a little bit concerned about thus far is Szymon Lekomski, 4.45 tenths. 4.45 tenths off the back of Sergio Sobrino. Szymon is a driver that we typically see at the front of qualifying, so it's disappointing so far to see him down in 11th.
Yeah, it is a surprise. Obviously, we saw him in, I think it was last week in Austria. He had a great run, didn't he, in the qualifying session. Also back in Hungary, where unfortunately he ended up spinning the car down at turn 5. So I'm quite surprised to see him down in 11th. But we've got many more laps to come. We're talking about 11 minutes of this session, so I'm sure he can try and get himself a little bit further up the order. We got Andrei Tarabukin, Kieran Gundup, and Joost Noordijk on out laps. Obviously, I don't know about the other two, but I know that Joost did go into the pits after his first run, so he didn't complete that lap. So maybe he must have made a mistake somewhere, because he didn't invalidate. He must have just lost time somewhere on the circuit and thought it would be best to get into the pits, get a new fresh set of tyres on and go back out onto the circuit. We've got Max Wiesel also on track as well, currently sitting in 4th. Great job from him here in the early parts of qualifying. Joost Noordijk just coming through. Head to the final corner in the Haas to begin the next lap. He's sitting 3rd in the standings, drawn on points with Max Wiesel. That was the one driver who is on the same points as Max, so we'll see what he can manage today in the Haas. Started 18th. Wouldn't be the most ideal position, because around a track like this, the DRS train is very heavy. Probably from the first to the last in the grid will be the DRS train, so you can't afford to start near the back. You need to try and get yourself a little bit higher, and if you do start to the back, maybe you need to go for a set of soft, just try and push through. Otherwise, you're going to be in a really iffy situation. And luckily, the 2 cars there moving out the way for Joost as he comes through in towards the Curva Grande before he hits down in towards the Della Roggio chicane at turns 3 and 4. Obviously, we know this corner, a bit of RNG in this game. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you can't, and it's just luck. So we might see some really good times from drivers who got that luck, and then others who might normally sit at the top might lose a tenth in that corner because of the curves, which I think this track done, hasn't it? It's had its issues, I think, for quite a few years. God,
remember the 60 FPS thing? Oh, back on F1 2021, I think that might have been, and then that famous season 30 race, if I'm not mistaken, might have been season 29 race, where George had his very famous rant about the state of the game with all the desync. Luckily, we have come a long way in terms of online issues. I think they're not as extreme as they used to be, as Joost Noordijk now heads into the final corners. And now there's a Red Bull just in front of him, hopefully not catching too much of the dirty air there, as now Joost Noordijk up towards the line. Now what's it going to be for the Dutchman? He'll come across P7. I definitely think he'll be disappointed with that time at the minute, especially being around about just over 2 tenths clear, behind Sergio Sobrino. So yeah, definitely a disappointing start to his qualifying session. Still though, just about 10 minutes left to go here. His Kieran Gundup, another driver I've been very impressed with so far this season, only P10 for the time being. How about Andrei Tarabukin on a lap at the minute? He's heading now in towards the final couple of corners, and Nathan, gotta say, Andrei Tarabukin this season, he's left a lot to be desired so far. We definitely know that he can do a lot more than what we've seen so far this season. I definitely hope that Monza could be that changing point for him.
Definitely, last season we saw him take 2 podiums, and then this season it's just been, nothing has worked for him at all. In every race there's been a bit of an incident, or he's just not been on the pace that he should be. So I'm very surprised to see Andrei in this position, because we know for many years on this game he's always been one of the quick drivers. He's always been near the top here in the F2. So he pops himself into 8th, a decent qualifying result so far for the race club driver. Is just 2 thousandths back from the back of Joost Noordijk, who's into 7th position. We've got Max Wiesel also on a lap time. He's unfortunately invalidated. He was up in that first and second set, but unfortunately that invalidation will ruin that lap, and he'll have to pop back into the pits to get himself a new set of tyres on. Sergio Sabrino's on a lap, he's just heading down in towards turn 1. Currently sitting on pole position. We haven't seen me at the top for a long time. I remember he took victory last season in the final round, which is probably the reason why Mirko Soriano probably still hates him to this day, because that could have ruined the championship for Mirko, but I don't think it mattered too much anyway. But Sergio just heading down in towards the turn 4 chicane, and he's up by 28,000 in that first set, so at least there's an improvement on the board.
Yeah, I remember Sergio Sabrino in that race. That actually did lose Mirko the title. He was 13 points off of Jack. Jack was outside the points completely. And then Mirko, with that win, would have been season 35 champion. Wasn't meant to be, though, as Sergio Sabrino continues along this lap, heading now in towards the final sector. We'll see his improvement of just 500ths of a second, but every little helps as he heads now through the Ascari chicane and on towards this back stretch. Someone's just come across the line. I believe that was Jay Van Bussel with a 1 minute 18.337 to notch himself up into P6. A decent start to the session for him. Here comes Sergio Sabrino, your current provisional pole sitter, through the final couple of corners now off of Alboreto, and now to come across the line. What is it going to be for him? Will he find improvement in that final sector? Unfortunately, he does lose that half a tenth improvement, and he is down ever so slightly, but he's very consistent with that lap as Paul Eckelmeyer to the line, a 1 minute 18.104, blowing Sergio Sabrino's time out of the water. A fantastic effort from him there. We've got one of the Red Bulls in the final corner. That's Max Grosspointer at the minute. Is nowhere to go but up for him, setting plumb last in at 16th at the minute. He'll come back into the pit lane, but Nathan, what a lap from Paul Eckelmeyer there.
Yeah, great, and that's nearly 10th clear off, so it's been a great lap there from the Aston Martin. We've seen two drivers up the top where we don't normally see them, so maybe this is a bit of a turning point for some of the drivers a little bit further down in the stands. We've got Rishan Jacobs coming through and unfortunately making a bit of a mistake at the parabolic, and he's lost himself a bit of time. Also another driver, unfortunately on 0 points this season, had a bit of a collision, a bit of a controversial one back in Austria, and he was looking for some decent points while he was running the top 5 before that incident happened, and yeah, just nothing has been clicking with him either. Everything, you know, he's been on pace sometimes. As you can see, the Komsky goes up into second. But sometimes I think he gets himself into a few incidents a bit early in the race, and it kind of, you know, I think, well, I know a little bit from when I've done some racing, once you get into one incident, it just happens more and more because you lose that confidence, your brain goes a little bit fuzzy, and then everything just crumbles. Then there's, at that point, nothing you can do to save your race. But yeah, it's nice to see Lekomsky back into second. Daniel as well in 4th. So we're decent for the Constructors' Championship. I'm not sure how that's formed up too much at the moment, but I remember last round Red Bull had a great charge in that championship. I think it was about 20 points clear of the ones in second. Yeah, I think as much as it isn't really focused on in this championship, it's still nice to look at the Constructors, however, sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, as now Tycho Hardy comes through the final corner. We saw Szymon Lekomski come across the line to do a 118.143. That was good enough to put him into P2. Tycho Hardy does find 2 tenths, almost 3 tenths of an improvement there, but it wasn't enough to notch him up any positions. We've got Joost Noordijk just coming to complete an outlap now, so he will be on a push lap, and I believe that is the end of most second runnings, if I'm not mistaken, in qualifying. So Paul Eckelmeyer currently leading the way at the minute. It's a great showing from Aston Martin thus far. They're 1 and 3 at the minute, with Szymon Lekomski just nestling in between them. Sergio Sabrino's time still good enough for P4 at the minute, although he has been triumphed by a few drivers. As now we've been put over to Max Wiesel for whatever reason. I didn't actually click on that, it's just automatically moved me over to him. But yeah, lots of invalidations at the minute. Some people are struggling with the track limits around this circuit. I wonder if that's going to cause any issues in the race, especially in that first part of Ascari, Nathan. I always find that when I'm driving around this circuit, I always find a way to cut that inside and get myself a penalty.
Yeah, I was on board with Joost Noordijk, and he had a massive snap coming out the second laser, and I thought he was going to go into the wall, but luckily saved the car. But yeah, it's you know, this track does propose its issues, doesn't it, for the track limits as well, especially in the final corner at the long right-hander as well. You can go a little bit wide, you can lose time, but still get that track limit warning. So I think we will see probably a few people get penalties for the track limits, but the issue that poses around a track like this especially is the fact of it's such a high-speed circuit, everyone's always so close together, so a 3-second penalty could move you down 6-7 positions, which is just not ideal, especially if you're maybe in that top 5. You could be out the points completely by the end of the race if you just have that 1 3-second time penalty. So yeah, I think that's something that drivers might be a little bit more cautious about in this race. Obviously ones further back might take a bit more risk with those track limits. But ones at the top probably need to be a lot more careful. We'll come through now in towards the final parts of the qualifying session. I believe Bradley Holden's on a lap time. He's just heading down in towards the parabolic at the final couple of corners, and also he was the one who caused that safety car back in Austria last week, so not been the best form from him so far this season. Got himself a couple of points on the board, but I'm sure Bradley's shown a lot of pace, and I'm surprised he hasn't got more than he has so far this season. Up to the line he goes. Where will it be for Bradley? It'll be the top 10 with a 1 minute 18.325. We've also got Kian. Well, we haven't got Kian on lap. He's just headed back into pits. What about Max Crossport? I think he's on a lap. And no, he's not. Well, he might be. I don't know. He's up by 10 in the first set. So he must be on a lap. He's on a 0.763. So he's got a lot of improvements to find, hasn't he, Dan, in these final couple of runs?
Yeah, he's on a 1 minute 18.763, almost. Well, he's about 6/10 off the back of Paul Eckelmeyer at the minute. He's come out very early for his lap. We'll see what he's able to do with a bunch of clear air. I'm very interested to see why Bradley Holdham has actually completed that lap, because he's only got 3 minutes left in the session to go back around, then get his car serviced, and then head back out for his outlap. I don't think he's going to... Oh, my word. Max Crosspointer completely cuts Ascari there. He's given up on that lap, and I think he's trying to get back to the pits as soon as possible, maybe to come out once again onto the circuit. You can see multiple other drivers on their outlaps already, including provisional pole sitter Paul Eckelmeyer. Certainly a name very surprised to see, actually, this high up at the minute. He's always been a good driver, Paul Eckelmeyer, don't get me wrong, but I've never really seen him be a top caliber driver. So it's good to see him that he's proving me wrong this evening. We've also got Sergio Sabrino on his outlap there, and as was Bradley Holdham is coming back into the pits. So it is going to be Paul Eckelmeyer, the first one out on a lap. Nathan, looking at it here, there's a whole heap of cars in turn number 1 at the minute. Paul Eckelmeyer is just about to begin his lap. He is going to have to weave his way through some thick traffic there.
He is, and this could pose some issues. Maybe he'll let off and go for 2 outlaps. I'm not sure. As Bradley Holdham, actually, he's going to retire on that 18.325. So hopefully for him, we don't find many improvements. But you can see down to 15th there on the 10th back. But the issue that Paul has is if he does get held up in a bit of traffic, all those down, I'd say to probably around 9th position. They're only 2/10 back, so they can all take a chance of beating his lap easily, I think, in this session. So I think, yeah, he needs to try and complete this lap. If he can't, maybe he could try and let off and go back again, depending on which bull he's got in his car. You can see they're all coming through the 2 Lesmos. We can see, I think that's on the Hasses and his teammate in the Aston Martin, Halliday, moving out the way as he heads down. He's actually 2/10 in that first section, invalidates. So that will be Paul's lap done, unless he has to. He'll have to go around again now if he wants to try and get another lap on the ball, because I definitely know he's not going to be safe for that 104, because you've got lots of Lekomsky's only 30-40 thousandths back. You've got Jan Halliday, less than a 10th back, Sergio Sabrino as well, all in that fight. And I think the first one to start that might be, is it Championship? No, it's not Thomas Scott, it will be Andrei Tarabukin.
Yeah, I think it's best to check in on these Alpines at the minute. Andrei Tarabukin beginning his lap. I'm interested to see, though, Tamas Gal. We've not seen him flex his muscles all too much so far this session. Of course, he's well renowned for his strength in qualifying, but sitting down in P6 at the minute is still the 3rd row of the grid, and he's only about a 10th and a half off of what Paul Eckelmeyer is set at the moment. But we're definitely expecting bigger things from him as he approaches turn number 1, reaching speeds of over 350 kilometers per hour at the braking zone now, off the exit on towards Curva Grande, towards the end of the first sector. He's got a stricken Red Bull in front of him. I believe that's Max Crosspointer coming onto the circuit. I don't believe he's going to be able to get round for a lap, as now Tamas Gal in the first sector, purple through here, but he jumps over the curb, hop and a skip over that inside left, and now in towards Lesmo 1 and 2, looking like he's in some fine form at the minute on his lap now through Lesmo 2 and on towards this little straight with the DRS wide open, trying to get the top speed possible underneath the old configuration of the Monza circuit with the old oval. Now in towards the end of that sector, he's lost time. I think that might have been in the second chicane there. He can still find it though in this next sector. His teammate is also peeling off to the right hand side, so both Alpine looking like they're down on their runs. We'll see what Tamas Gal can do as now he heads through the final corner. Has he choked through the second sector? Has he found time in sector 3? He's going to keep it pinned to the right hand side to get the shortest run to the line possible. Is there an improvement for the Hungarian there? Unfortunately not. He will remain in P6 for the time being. Liam Stevens comes to the line with a slight improvement, I do believe. But here comes Sergio Sabrino, former provisional pole sitter, up towards the line now. He cannot improve. Very unfortunate from him there. What about Daniel Koya up next to the line, currently sitting in P11? Can he find his way into that top 10? Indeed he can, onto the front row. A great lap time time from him there. Daniel Shelson will just about nestle himself in behind with a 1 minute 18.12 as there's King Godendorp to the line. A 1 minute 18.0. Great lap from him there. What about Szymon Lekomski up to the line? Finds an improvement. Not enough to jump any positions. Who is up next to the line? Let's watch Max Wiesel. He's come back into the pit lane, so I do believe no one is really going to be able to challenge to Kian Gondorp. What about Joost Noordijk up to the line? Disappointing P13 from him there. Tycho Hardy will be the last one to come across the line. He'll smash it into the wall, and I think that signifies he is not happy with that run. So it is Kian Godendorp on pole position, the only driver in the 1 minute 18.0. Is a great lap time from him there. Paul Eckelmeyer's time was good enough to put him on the front row, and that is going to be your starting two in this race. Fantastic end to qualifying. Kian Gondorp on pole.
It's great for Keane, isn't it? Because Max Wiesel starts in 10th position and he's on the exact same amount of points. So possibly, if it was to finish like this, there'd be a 15-point gap between Max and Keane after this race. And also, depending on what Tamas can do from 9th, Keane's going to bring that gap quite down considerably to Tamas. So this could be quite a turning point for Keane's championship fight. Obviously, Paul Eckelmeyer as well, not really fighting for much in the championship. 40 down, I believe he's in around 17th place in the championship. But a second place, it will move him a little bit further up, and also it'll give him a bit more confidence going throughout the season, knowing he's got himself a podium, got himself into that top two. He knows he can fight with the likes of Kian, Daniel, Szymon, and the other Daniel, who've also been really good this season. But yeah, I think there's been quite a few surprises, hasn't there, in quality today, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at the results and sort of digest what we are seeing here. Kian Gondorp on pole position, just 200s ahead of Paul Eckelmeyer, Daniel Koyer and Daniel Shelson, making an all-Daniel second row of the grid. Nathan, I think that's got to be my favourite lineup of all time there. Szymon Lekomski in the McLaren, his teammates, of course, in 4th. He's sitting in 5th. A great run from those two today. Same goes for Aston Martin. Jan Halliday, his time was good enough to put him in P6. Sergio Sobrino, with that initial lap time, still managed to net himself P7. Race Imtiaz, good to see him fighting in that top 10. He'll sit in 8th. And then the two championship protagonists sitting on that 5th row. Tamas Gal 9th, 10th is Max Wiesel. Then outside the top 10, it's Joe Van Bussel, Liam Stevens, Joost Noordijk, Bradley Holdham, Tycho Hardy, Andre Terrebuchen, Rishan Jacobs, and then Max Grosspointer. Nathan, it was an incredibly close qualifying throughout most of the field. Max Grosspointer just falling ever so short at the at the back of the field. But I'd say, especially in the top of the field, very close qualifying.
It is, and I think we're going to have a very close race as well. We do have a lobby restart as per usual here in PSGL, and I'm not sure whether it will be dry or wet going into the race. I'm not sure if it will be dynamic or not, so that could also pose a bit of a situation. Obviously, just right at the moment on the circuit, obviously we need to leave this lobby and hope. I think they will keep it the same as it was, what it was meant to be, if I'm correct. So yeah, we'll see what it's going to be like for the race. But yeah, we have this normal, boring 5-10 minute section where we have to get everyone back in and do the lobby restart because of EA's incompetence with 5 players grid penalty. Which the thing is, the penalties they give out technically aren't wrong. It's just they're too heavily enforced.
I don't think it makes sense. You can't really impede someone on an outlap. I don't really see how that's possible, so don't know why that's an issue. It wasn't an issue before, so yeah, I have no idea why it's a problem now, but whenever one thing gets fixed, something else comes up, so yeah, we just come to expect it at this point. But Nathan, let's talk about qualifying. I think one of the big stories is that Tamas Gal and Max Wiesel, the pair of them who are normally so proficient in qualifying, sitting 9th and 10th position, definitely expected a lot more out of them.
Yeah, they've got to find something in this race. If that's maybe doing a bit of a different strategy to normal, maybe starting on a set of harder tyres, because I saw back in the F3 stream, as I said before, a lot of them were on the softs, meaning those on the hards had a bit of a tricky start to try and, weave out the way all the softs charging through. But then near the end of the race, I think they started to come back, obviously doing that big overcut on those on the soft really helped them. So we'll see what the likes of Tamas and Max Wiesel tried to do. They've got to figure out something along with as well. Joost Noordijk, he's got to find something because he's, in a bit of a difficult situation. 13th, he's very close in this championship fight, so he's got to get himself some decent points. He's got to make, I'd say, 7 or 8 positions to put himself into a comfortable place to still be on the back of lots of Tamas, Max, and Kian. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite an interesting race. We've got people further back who can get themselves possibly into this fight for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, depending how their races go. Because I think this point system, it's obviously you get less points than you would IRL F1, but I think it does make the racing a lot closer, doesn't it? And also, it gives sometimes drivers a chance to close up a little bit more.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, 16 points is all you need to take the fight to the other drivers. So bridging that gap between, 10th position and first position. It's a great idea from PSGL to really keep it as close as possible. Heading into this one, though, of course, Tamashgal leading the way, 16 points ahead of Max Wiesel. Then Joost Noordijk is in third. They're all starting way down the order from what we normally expect from them, and it's actually the likes of Daniel Shelton in fourth, Kian Gondorp in fifth, sixth Szymon Lakomski. Those three starting within that top six really do have a great opportunity to potentially close that gap and overtake actually some of their rivals. Of course, all of them out of reach at the minute from Tamashgal, but a good race from them today, and a mediocre performance from Tamash really could slingshot them into the championship fight. So I think halfway into this season, Nathan, Italy could be one of the most exciting races.
Yeah, I think I just looked on the left side and we actually have dynamic weather, so we could see rain possibly make a feature in this race. It would be good. Oh no. Oh, well, as I say, that it gets changed to sun. So no, there will be no rain at the start. So it will be a sunny Grand Prix, which I think can save us a bit of that chaos that we saw back in Austria. Obviously, it was dry in Austria, but I think a bit of rain here would cause a lot of issues, especially down in that first corner. But obviously, with it being more dry, it gives us a lot more racing. And I think we've seen many times this season, haven't we, done with the straights and with that DRS, a lot of drivers seem to back off and not really push for moves. But I think with the straight being that long and the overspeed being that effective with the DRS, drivers will be forced today into making those moves. I think they're towards that first corner. Otherwise, we'll see people from fourth in the train move up to first. It's a little bit like what we've seen with Las Vegas in the previous couple of rounds.
Yeah, I mean, around Monza is one of the most iconic DRS train tracks really in the Codemasters games history. It's Italy and Silverstone. Those always have the biggest DRS trains, although Las Vegas does provide some as well. So we'd expect to see a lot of drivers sort of following along with each other. Maybe though with the heavy braking zones, especially in towards turn number one, some guys could go right up the inside into that first corner. I mean, it is F2. We have to expect a little bit of excitement from time to time. So I'm looking forward to this one. Monza has always been a very fun race. It's one of the quickest races, I believe, because they do the laps based on distance, and so Monza's a big circuit, so it's shorter in terms of lap count. I think it's like 27 laps, but it's a really fast track. So it's around about the same lap time as Hungary, but Hungary is 35 laps and Italy is 27. So it is typically one of the quicker races, which means you've got to cram 45 minutes worth of action into just 27 laps around here.
And it also means the pit stops are a lot more effective. You need to make sure you get that pit stop right, and pitting one lap later or one lap earlier could ruin your chance of victory or ruin your chance of making some decent positions in the race. So I think that's something we've got to look out for, haven't we, at the start? The strategy, I think it will be a key part in this race, because obviously the DRS train is just overpowered around here, and there's nothing you can do when you're in it. So we might see drivers then maybe go for a bit of an undercut just to get out of that dirty air of the cars, get out that DRS train, get themselves a bit of clean air and push, and see what they can do. But then once the drivers on the overcut have made their pits, they'll catch up easily and pass through. So I think we're going to have quite an interesting ending, and we could see maybe a surprise driver take victory. If they try something a bit different, take a bit more of a risk, get themselves in the lead, and they can just try to hold off, depending on obviously what wings they've got. But also we've got that factor of possibly a safety car, yellow flags, virtual safety cars all making features in this race. They could also make a bit of a change up. So I'm very excited to see how this race would go, and I think could be one of my most exciting races this season. Not maybe in terms of action, but I think in terms of everything kind of compiled into one. There's lots of little bits here and there, which I think will make it quite an entertaining and race that everyone should definitely make sure to watch all the way through.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's going to be a very fun one this evening. Let us know, everyone, in the live chat who is watching, your predictions for the top three by the end of it. Of course, the podium positions. Also, a big thank you to Maximilian Kolazar. Hopefully I've said that surname right, for the 10 Swedish krona. Very much appreciated. Thank you for your very kind super chat. But yeah, let us know, everyone, in the live chat who you think is going to be taking the win and who'll be joining that winner on the podium. Nathan, who's your top three?
So I'm going to go with, who's on our poll? Kian. So I'm going to say Kian will be third. Second, I'm going to go with Max. So I think Max will be one of those further back to get himself up into the front. And then for the victory, I'm going to go with Daniel Koya.
Okay, Daniel Koya. Take victory. I do like that prediction. Starting from third on the grid, if I'm not mistaken. Daniel Coy is a name that I was very familiar with from back in my time on the PlayStation days, a long time ago. At this point, I think on F1 2020, I was commentating on him in another league. Yeah, a long time ago. That was when I was first starting out, and DD Daniel, I think his old name was DD Daniel NL. We just called him D Daniel, but yeah, Daniel Coy is definitely a name I'd like to see taking victory in this race. He certainly got a decent start to it. I need to just remind myself who's actually racing this evening, because you know what, it's just completely gone over my head. I'm gonna go third position. I've got Daniel Shelson to take third position. Second position I go with Daniel Coyer, and then to take victory in this race, I like the look of Paul Eckelmeyer to take the win this evening. It's a fun prediction. He's starting in second in this race, so yeah, it could be a decent showing from him today. Unfortunately, Kian Gondorp starting on pole position really just isn't the way to go. On this F1 23 game, for some reason, whoever's on pole never wins the race. No. You never see like a dominating Max Verstappen-esque drive. But yeah, sorry to Kian. Maybe he could prove us wrong, Nathan.
Maybe, and we could also end up cursing Daniel, because the only one that we both had in our predictions for a podium was Daniel Coyer. So yes, I think he'd be quite angry with us if we did curse him. Remember back in the E-Series at Monaco, I cursed 7 drivers in the one race. Yes, it didn't end well. I cursed them, and then I thought it was over, but then some of them came back and I cursed them again. The one driver I did curse twice, Dylan Warren. So, yeah. I cursed him at the start because something to do with his pit stop. Like, yeah, so he went on to hard on a wet track. And then I cursed him again because I said he'd take the victory because he had a better position near the end. And, well, he didn't. He took 4. So, yes. I think a lot of people definitely wouldn't want my lottery numbers, that's for sure.
And one name, Nathan, that we didn't put in either of our top 3 is Tamas Gal, starting from 9th on the grid. He's the championship leader, the only driver with 2 wins thus far this season. Where do you think he'll end up in this one?
I don't know. I feel like it's either going to be a top 5 or DNF. It's going to be one of the two. I don't think he'll be in the middle. I think it's going to go one way or the other. It seems like that's what it went for him last season, and I suppose this season a little bit. He's got the 2 victories. He scored no points, I believe, back in Qatar, and also had a bit of a poor race in Austria. He started down near the back of the grid. I think he was 17th or something in Austria before that safety car came out. So yeah, he's either been near the top or near the bottom. So yeah, I'll probably say either a top 5 or a bottom 5. Which is, it isn't something I like to predict, but you know it's quite common for him, isn't it? So we'll just go with the common factor.
See, my sort of thing with Tamas Gal is that I never really see him when he's starting lower down the order fight his way up the grid. I think when he's always starting at the front, he's incredible and he's one of the best drivers. Yeah. But he just doesn't seem to be able to get on the attack like we see. But once again, love to see him prove us wrong this evening. We're about to head into the race. 27 laps around a sunny Monza circuit. Very excited for this one here. I hate when it's wet, especially around Monza, because all the fun with the DRS trains and incredible top speeds down in towards turn one completely eradicated by the rain, and luckily we're not going to have that be the case here this evening. 18 drivers on the grid. It's Kian Gondorp starting from pole position. We will join you trackside after a quick word from our sponsors at GT Omega. Welcome back, everyone. Trackside here in Monza, ready to get this race started. 27 laps, as previously mentioned. Very much looking forward to seeing how this one plays out here. 2 of the championship protagonists, make that 3 actually, of the championship protagonists. Joost Noordijk, Max Wiesel, and of course the championship leader Tamas Gal, all starting further down the order than they would have liked. And then some of the drivers from 4th backwards starting right up at the front. Monza, the halfway point of the season, Nathan, could be some of the highest stakes.
It could. I'm very excited to see how it goes, and I think there's lots of drivers that can fight for points. So yeah, I think it's going to be either way, a very good or very bad race for everyone on the grid.
we'll see how it happens. It's going to be one driver's delight, maybe 6 others' misery. We'll have to wait and see who is standing at the top in 27 laps time, as now we're in that awkward period where we just have to wait and see when we actually get this race started. I'd love to see a mix of tyres in this one right at the start of the race. Of course, you can see in the Red Bull garage, Max Wiesel, mediums are off the car, which I think might mean that he's starting on a set of the softs. We'll have to wait and see if that is the case. But yeah, a range of tyres at the start should make for different varying levels of grips and lots of overtakes. Expect those starting on a set of the soft compound tyres, or the mediums indeed, to definitely get a jump and try and overtake all of their rivals on the harder compound of tyre. Kian Gondorp, as previously mentioned, starting on pole position ahead of Paul Eckelmeyer. One's in the Alpha, one's in the Aston. Who will take victory here this evening in Monza? 5 red lights, and we are underway for the start of this one. It looks to be a good getaway from Paul Eckelmeyer, heading down in towards turn number 1. Kian Gondorp just about going to be able to cover him off in towards that first corner. Here we are then, turn number 1 for the very first time in this race. It's Daniel Koyer to the outside of Paul Eckelmeyer. Kian Gondorp with an excellent start. He'll get away at the front of the order. They're all chopping and changing positions further back behind, as now Daniel Shelson doing battle with his McLaren teammate Shimon Lekomsky. It's Shimon just about coming out ahead in that fray there, but now towards the end of that first sector, it's been a great getaway from Kian Gondorp.
It has, yeah. Paul had a bit of a battle with Daniel on the exit of turn 1, and that cost him a little bit of time as they come through. And also, we can see that's Sergio Sabrina looking for a bit of a move around the outside. 200 who's and that's Liam Stevens down at the rear of the field. Unfortunately, have to come into contact with someone. We've got Bradley Holdham going off track. We've got Flurry going 4 wide in towards the second left as they all fly through. What's happened there? That's Max Wiesel down in 17th, and Max Crossbunch as well getting involved. Liam Stevens just watching all this happening in front of him, and chaos is happening between the Red Bulls and Mercedes.
Max Wiesel's been relegated from 10th all the way down into 16th. He might have some slight wing damage after contact with his teammate there. Fingers crossed that that is not the case, but it could be a terrible day at the office for the Red Bull and Mercedes drivers. Now heading down in towards Alboreto, Max Wiesel looking to get through on Rishan Jacobs. All of these guys on a set of the hard compound of tyres. Expect them to go very long in this race, as Joost Noordijk is actually the only other driver on that set, still doing well in towards that 11th position. Meanwhile, at the front though, here's Paul Eckelmeyer in towards turn number 1. They go and be able to put himself into the lead of this Grand Prix. It was a great start from Kian Gondorp there. However, he's been reeled in by the pack and has allowed for Paul Eckelmeyer to get on through. I wonder, Nathan, is that a tactical decision from Kian to try and maybe pick up DRS next time by?
Yeah, it could be, and I think it's quite a clever thing to do. If you can use that DRS to your advantage, you can save your battery a little bit more down those back straights. Daniel Koyer also sitting comfortably in that 3rd position. He's also in a very keen position, because if needs be, he can pass probably both of them with that DRS, but he can also sit comfortably behind Mac, Kian and Paul. For that, we can see Sergio Sabrina's got a great run on Daniel. Gets close, but never close enough. As you can see, that's Maz Brosbuch into the wall down at the first there. I don't think that was contact between Liam Stevens or it was between his teammates. I'm not quite sure, but very poor start for the debut here for Max Gross. Pointed further up, we can see Andrea Tobias can make a move ahead of Tycho Hardy towards a Scurry. Great move there from the driver on the soft tyres, but we can see quite a vast use, isn't there? The soft, mediums and hards in this race, but for once, I think the hard is the least used tyre.
Yeah, I think it's split with the mediums at the minute, as now Andrew Tarabukin, he gets through on Joost Noordijk on his set of the hard. Joost is just going to slip through the pack ever so slightly every single lap, as we'll see Kian Gondorp once again in towards turn number 1. Paul Eckelmeyer holds that right hand side. Kian Gondorp's just going to go the other way around. Let's look at them all fanning out further back behind, trying to cool down the car ever so slightly, because following in the DRS train, of course, is really going to affect you with all that dirty air. Jarino, that's Jay Van Boosel through on his F7R teammate of Race Imtiaz. Both of these guys, of course, coming up from PSGL PlayStation last season. Now onto the PC. Andrei Tarabukin, a seasoned veteran in the PC side of things, looking to the inside of Race Imtiaz. Can he get that move done in towards the chicane? Indeed, he can on his set of the soft, looking to try and get himself into that top 10, and indeed he has. It's been a great start to the race from Andrei Tarabukin, up 6 places now.
Yeah, indeed, and Max Wiesel losing even more time, a 2.5 second gap to Bradley Holdham in 14th. He's got Liam Stevens following his traps through towards the second Lesmer, but it's been a very dismal start. My prediction has gone completely wrong for Max at this point. We'll be looking on point to score nothing in this race. We can see as well Tycho Hardy making a pass there on Joost Noordijk, who's obviously on the hard side, so we will be a little bit slower than all these ahead of him now, as obviously once we get, I'd say, another 10 laps in, we'll probably see us near the front of the field after those soft starts of earth and some of them peeling to bits. Tamas Gal also having a bit of a
a normal start. Nothing really going on for him. He didn't really lose positions. I think he gained one of them. Obviously, Max had a bit of an incident further ahead. But yeah, he's just now comfortably sitting in that 8th, just following the back of Jan Halliday, who's in the top 7 so far, down towards turn 1 as Paul Eckelmeyer takes the lead yet again in towards that first corner. Daniel Kaya following him very nicely, along with Lekomsky in towards the breaker zone. And surprisingly, we've had no heroic stand into turn 1, no one making too much of a risk, which I think hopefully is something we won't see for the rest of the race. But I think once we come to the final few laps, we might see a bit more feistiness down towards that first corner. But they head through in towards the Curva Grande, in towards the Del Roggio chicane. And yes, again, no one really ever close enough to make a move into this corner, unless you're probably on those different sets of tyres. So I think no one in the top 8 realistically will be making any moves, unless you're going down towards turn number 1.
I expect Andrei Terryukin is going to be next to try and make a move on Jerry Van Boekel, of course, with those soft compound of tyres. Only 3 laps old at this point, so he's definitely going to have a lot of life left in them. Through Lesmo 2 is all over the rear of Jerry Van Boekel. It'd be wise for Jerry to just let Andrei go through, let him burn up his set of the soft, and indeed to the outside line. Andrei Terryukin will take that P9 position now onto the back of his teammate and onto the back of all of the soft runners. They make up the entire top 9 in this race. You've got nice 3 big blocks there. It's the softs, then the 4 medium runners, then the 4 hard runners. Rishan Jacobs, of course, pitting from the hards onto the mediums after suspectedly getting some wing damage on that first lap. He was involved in that whole skirmish between the Mercedes and the Red Bull drivers. Let's see Kian Gondorp try and go for the move in towards turn number 1 once again. Daniel Koya also looking to go up the inside of Paul Eckelmeyer. Will he try and stick the move on Kian Gondorp with that overspeed into the braking zone? They go. Kian Gondorp retakes the lead of this Grand Prix. Daniel Koya, though, through on Paul Eckelmeyer.
Yes, and the S7Rs will be very happy. They're going to 1-2 so far. Obviously, even though they're in different teams here in the PSGL, I'm sure they'll be working together heavily with their team to try and fend off Paul Eckelmeyer, who's in third, making a bit of a charge race, doing a good job, as you can see his teammates. Jan Halliday looking for a move on Sergio Sabrino towards Della Roggio, but he backtaked. You know, that move definitely wasn't on, and that could have ended into a bit of contact, so he still suffers there in that 7th position. Sergio was also looking for a little bit of a run on Daniel, so I think maybe if one of those ahead, one of the McLaren's made a bit of a mistake, it drawn Sergio and Jan right on their tail in towards that turn 3 and 4 chicane. We can see further back Tamas Gal also trying to gain closer and closer to Jan Halliday. He's got his teammate Andrei Terryukin behind. I think if needs be, we could see Andrei try and fend off the likes of Jerry and Race, who shortly, I'll say in the next 3 or 4 laps, will be starting to gain in on these soft runners. Obviously those softs will die quite quickly, and Paul Eckelmeyer's going to run down towards the parabolica on the back of Daniel Koy, but back safe, doesn't go for the move in towards the corner. He moves out to the right hand side to kind of get some engine cooling on that car. They come through out to the final corner, back down towards turn 1 to begin lap 6 of 27, and already, Dan, this race is flying by as the cars are flying down towards that first corner.
Yeah, Paul Eckelmeyer all over the rear of Daniel Koya heading into that first corner. Will Paul Eckelmeyer go for that move up the inside? Daniel actually looking to go for the move on his F7R teammate, and there it is, the Ferrari leading the race for the very first time this evening. Kian Gondorp very happy to just sit back, let his teammate go, well, let his ally, you could say, in this race go through. Further back behind, more moves being made between all the medium and hard runners. I believe it was Race Imtiaz getting through on, no, I think it was Tycho Hardy getting through on Bradley Holdham. Look how many F7R drivers are on this grid. It's absolutely obscene, as now Jerry Van Boekel is on the back of Andrei Terryukin as well, so they're all closing up in that first sector. Tycho Hardy's through on Race Imtiaz. They close up in that first sector, then find it very difficult to go for the move in towards this second part of the lap. The DRS train really does sort of nullify the advantage that you get from it. Jerry Van Boekel, he doesn't care one bit though. He's going to go to the outside line of Andrei Terryukin and make that move stick in towards Ascari. I think Andrei very happy to let Jerry Van Boekel go through, and he's infiltrated the soft runners.
It is, and this is where we start to see these softs start to have a bit of degradation on the tyres, start to lose a bit of time. We can see Jerry closing it on the back of Tamas Gal further ahead. We can see yet again Daniel gaining on his teammate. We've also got Paul Eckelmeyer getting in on Kian Gondorp in towards the parabolic. We've also got Ray Imtiaz getting past his teammate Tycho Hardy there, so we're going to have a bit of a battle at the final corner down towards turns number 1. But back to lead, we can see, will there be a move for lead? Yes, there will. Kian Gondorp takes the lead. We've also got Paul Eckelmeyer to the inside of Daniel Koy. He will take back second, relegating Daniel Koy down to that 3rd position. Can Daniel try and hold it around the outside at turn number 1? No, he can't, so we'll still for that 3rd at the moment. Further back, we can see Holdham making a move there on Race Imtiaz for 11th. Actually, Bradley's dropped all the way down. Has he had a bit of incident? Yes, he has. Having a bit of I think, contact with these F7R teammates, so he's down to 14th. And many drivers suffering down those corners. Also, we've got Tamas Gal making a move on Jan Halliday down in towards the turn 4 chicane. We've got Sergio Sabino just ahead. They head down towards the brake zone. Jan will try and hold it around the inside at the water chicane. They go side by side still. Side by side down towards the 2 Lesbos. They go. Jan Halliday with the inside line. Can Tamas try and put it around the outside? I don't think he can. That's Jerry Van Bossel. They go 3-1 out of the 2 Lesbos. I don't know what happened there. But Jerry Van Bossel sends a massive heroic in towards Lesbo 1. Makes a move into 7th, and that's a big shame for Jan Tamas and also Andrei Tarabukin.
What an overtake there from Jay Van Bussel. Saw the opportunity. They were slow out of the chicane. He went up the inside, made it stick, and that was a fantastic double overtake for Jay Van Bussel there, getting himself up in now to P7. Jan Halliday and Tamas Gal looking like they're going to be caught napping there, I'd say, from Jay Van Bussel, but that does come at a cost now. Van Bussel doesn't have any DRS to Sergio Sabrino in front of him, so it's created a rift between the rest of the field, and we'll see how this plans out as they head now on towards lap number 8. Paul Eckelmeyer looking to go for the lead of this Grand Prix in towards turn number 1. He'll go to the inside line of Kian Gondorp. Once again, the lead changes hand for the 8th lap in a row now in towards that first corner. It seems like that's just a common trend that we're seeing at the minute. Seems like Jay Van Bussel's been able to get himself back into the DRS range of Sergio Sabrino, so all of that effort was for his incredible game there. Great stuff from him up into P7.
Yeah, Jerry Van Bossel looking in a very comfortable position in this race because he can obviously go longer than these on the soft and make that overcut work. So we could possibly see Jerry Van Bossel maybe being a bit of a contender for the top 5, maybe even a contender for the podium if he can pay his car drives in the next few laps. Obviously, the pit stops for the soft rules we'll probably see in the next, I think, 5 laps maximum. We'll probably see them all pit. Then mediums and hards, I'm not quite sure what they will choose to do and when they will choose to go into the pits. But still, the top 3, it's been the same. I think since lap 1, we've got the 2 McLaren sitting behind, working together. Simon and Daniel B, they are both at the Veloce Academy as well, so they'll be working together probably throughout this race. And we've got Sergio Serrano currently sitting in 6th. He's got Jerry Van Bossel 7/10 back. And then we'll see if Jerry can try and make his way through, because obviously the only reason he got through on Jan and Tamas was because they was battling. If these guys ahead don't, he might be caught a little bit stuck behind because of this DRS advantage down those straights. We can see Daniel Kjellson on the back of his teammate Lekomsky as they head out of the final corner down towards turn 1. They go with the DRS. Do we see him move for 4th position in this race? I think Daniel might try and gain in, but he's not going to gain in enough. We've got Lekomsky gaining in on the back as well. They're going towards turn number 1. Paul Eckermann's going to be eaten up in towards that first corner. He goes side by side with Lekomsky in towards turn number 1. And do we see him move? Does Lekomsky get himself into 3rd? Yes, he does. Great overtake there from Lekomsky, but actually, Paul's got a great takes off the exit turn 1. They head down now towards the curve of Grande. Do we see him move back from Paul Eckermann? He's going to be around the outside. So that's going to be a bit of a difficult move. If he can make it work, they'll still go side by side into the braking zone. Can Shimon get the move done? I think he just has got himself ahead in towards the brake zone. Yes, he has. Great move there by the McLaren.
Yeah, Szymon Lekomsky's sort of found himself, he was in purgatory for the majority of this race. He was just so close to getting himself into that top 3, seized his opportunity, and he's gone for that one now, sits in P3. Great stuff from Szymon Lekomsky there. Daniel Shelson, we were riding on board with him through Curva Grande. He had the ERS deployment mode on, so he was trying to go for the move, maybe trying to stick it 3 wide in towards the chicane, but he thought better of it. Will remain in at P5. Incredible racing that we're seeing thus far, and I think Jay Van Bussel, he's going to be very pleased to see all of these soft runners fighting it out, burning up their tyres so they have to pit earlier on in this race. He can extend with the overcut and then go on to the fresher soft tyres later on in this Grand Prix. This race has always been a clear-cut soft to medium or medium to soft, as now Paul Eckelmeyer on the back of Szymon Lekomsky once again in towards turn number 1. Unfinished business between these two. Daniel Shelson also looking to find his way into the battle. In towards turn number 1 they go. Here comes Paul Eckelmeyer looking to the outside of Szymon Lekomsky. Daniel Coy is also going to go up the inside of Kian Gondorp. Szymon Lekomsky now is actually going on the attack. This time by is now Sergio Sabrino as well, scrapping it out with Jerry Van Bussel. Lots of fighting at the beginning of lap number 10. It's very hard to keep up with at the minute, but Kian Gondorp will remain in the lead, and no one actually in that top 5 changes position.
We had Tribukin making sure he spots himself in front of the head of Jan Halliday. They made a bit of contact coming out of turns 1 and 2. They went side by side through in towards Curva Grande, and that's got that better inside line for Andre into the braking zone. So great move there from Andre Tribukin, but also Jerry Van Bussel went for a move on Sabrino, but Sabrino got a better exit out that chicane down at the first couple of corners. So I think it'll be a matter of when, not if, Jerry Van Bussel can get himself back ahead of the Alfa Romeo. They head down in towards Ascari again. You got Yeltsin yet again right on the back of Paul Eckelmeyer. As further up, we can see Joost Noordijk making a move on Jan Halliday in towards Ascari. So these hards starting to possibly come into play now for Joost Noordijk. And also we've got Max Wiesel, Liam and Max who are completely out of this race. Unfortunately, they're not going to get close to this battle for anything, I think, in this race. We can also see Tycho Hardy making a move past Jan Halliday. These softs, I think now, Dan, are pretty much near their end. As you can also see, Race Imtiaz looking to gain in as Jan's gone very wide at the final corner. They head back down towards toe, and the lead changes hands yet again as Tamas Gal enters the pit, so he's stood on his soft tyres. Daniel Kerr takes the lead away from King Gondut. Lukomski to the outside, goes for a move, has to back out, keeps thinking about it, but he's still sticking around the outside. They go side by side in towards turn 2, and I think King just comes off. Yes, he does, but he's got Paul Eckelmeyer on his tail as they head out. Aldrich came through towards the curve of Grande, but no move on the cards for Paul. But actually, Daniel Kjell's going to try and go this one to the grass. Daniel's on the grass, gets pushed off by the TF10 of Paul, and now it's going to be Sergio Sabrina around the outside in towards the brake zone, but lots of chaos, and actually a bit of contact. They leave Daniel Kjell's here on track. Sergio Sabrina also off track, and chaos happening. Jerry Van Bussel off track is on the outside of the exit of the corner. Oh, and that luckily didn't end in tears, but it definitely could have done for about 3 or 4 drivers there.
Yeah, Daniel Shelton, I think temper's got the best of him heading in towards that chicane, and he almost went up the inside of Paul Eckelmeyer. I thought for a second he was just going to completely spear him off the circuit. Sergio Sabrino had to run over the chicane. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a warning at the very least for that, so I'd imagine that might get removed for him there. Jerry Van Bussel was also in the midst of that, tried to go for a move on Sergio Sabrino after he was slow after going over the sausage curves, but he remains in P7. So elbows out on lap number 11 of 27. When are these pit stops gonna come out? Has Tamas Gal triggered the undercut? Is anyone else really gonna start to think about coming in? Daniel Koya, the race leader, into the pits, as is Kian Godendorp, as is Sergio Sabrino, pitting behind his teammate. Clumsy stuff. He knows that Kian is ahead of him, and he's going to have to double stack, and this is also going to hold up Szymon Lukomski, I think, maybe in the McLaren. Never mind. Szymon Lukomski has no issues whatsoever. So, yeah, sad stuff for Sergio Sabrino there. A much slower pit stop's going to put him out of this race, I fear.
Yeah, I don't understand why he did that, because it's just costing too much time. Surely his engineers, or he would have known that if King Gondut went something, because he was about a second back, so there isn't more than enough time to react. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened down there, but we can see Tamas Gal get himself ahead of King Godut. We're splitting Kian and Daniel, so Daniel is in the net lead of this race so far. Tamas Gal net second ahead of King Godut, and then we've got Lukomski in 13th. We've also got Mats Grosbund kind of splitting in between Paul and Andre and Sergio back behind, but look how much time that has cost Sergio Sabrino. He's lost 3.5 seconds at least due to all that, and I think that could be his chance of a top 5 completely finished, which is a big shame, because Sergio's looked very strong, hasn't he, here, Dan, today, which is always lovely to see from the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, sad to see for Sergio Sabrino. Maybe if there's some chaos in front of him, he can close that gap up ever so slightly. He's still on the back of, on the back. He's 3.5 seconds to the rear of Andrei Tarabukin, who was towards the end of that train initially. Daniel Shelson is going to come into the pit lane. Jan Halliday, though, interestingly enough, going to stay out on his set of the softs for at least one more lap. Joost Noordijk now on his set of the hard compactor tyres. They're going to be in prime condition at the moment. He gets through on Jerry Van Bussel to lead this race for the very first time. It's been a great showing from Joost Noordijk, up 12 places in this Grand Prix from starting on 13th, starting 13th on the grid. It's been a very impressive drive from him so far. Daniel Shelson will emerge behind, I believe, Andrei Tarabukin, but not too far off the back of him there, and being on 2 lap fresher tyres, going to have some decent pace towards the end of this race, so watch out for Daniel Shelson. But at the minute, Nathan, we're just now coming up towards the halfway point of this Grand Prix. Everyone's sort of on cruise control mode at the minute. You want to take these tyres as long as you can to get to the end of this Grand Prix, but then when we get to that lap 25 to 27 mark, then we're going to see chaos ensue.
Indeed, if we look at the likes of Tamas and Kian, they've got lots of different batteries. Tamas on about half a tank, and Kian Gondup's on 80%, so a big difference between those two, meaning that Kian's got a bit more to use when it comes to that final part of this race, or when maybe he needs to use it for a bit of an emergency situation. So yeah, I think the battery is also something that the drivers will need to be careful of, not using too much, but also that if they need to use some, just so they can stick within that 1 second. We consider likes of the front, we consider 2 F7Rs looking to close in on the back of Joost Noordijk. Outside on for Tycho Hardy. He takes second away from Jay Van Bussel. He will take first away from Joost Noordijk. So Tycho Hardy on lap 14 takes lead of the race. Jay Van Bussel makes it a 1-2 at the moment for the 2 AlphaTauris in F7R, but obviously they need to pit, so that lead won't last for too long at all. We can see Racing Tellers as well starting to lose touch with this battle for third at the moment. Jan Halliday closing in on him a little bit as they come through, and also a bit of information in the chat says Jan Halliday's got a bit of damage on his car.
Oh, sad stuff for Jan Halliday. Meanwhile, further back behind for the net race lead, Tamas Gal's going to go up the inside of Daniel Koyer. Keen Gondorp will follow him through. Daniel Koyer in the span of just one corner, going from provisional, or sorry, net P1 to now net P3. But we've seen the scenarios that have ensued so far in this race. You really could just end up absolutely anywhere by the end of one lap. So Daniel Koyer could well be in the fight for the lead next time by, so don't count him out in this Grand Prix. Just every single lap they're making moves, swapping positions, because they're just, you know, you don't want to slow up, you don't want to sacrifice any time to those behind you. So down in towards turn number 1, where you've just got so much overspeed, you have to really go for those overtakes. Meanwhile, at the front though, Tycho Hardy still leading from Jerry Van Bussel. I'd imagine that those medium runners who started on that compound will think about coming to the pits very, very soon. Joost Noordijk definitely can extend his stint a few more laps. At this point, Tycho Hardy and Jerry Van Bussel going to stay out. Jan Halliday taking it 14 laps on his set of the softs. Finally is going to come into the pit lane, rumoured to have some sort of damage. Jerry Van Bussel taking the lead of this Grand Prix. We'll see where Jan Halliday emerges in this.
Yeah, I think he'll probably end up dropping near the back. Maybe just, well, he will be ahead, I think, of Richard Jacobs, but that will put him into 17th. So, not an order for Jan Halliday. We'll see where he pops there. He will come out behind Sergio, then he'll come out behind Max. Well, as we can see as well, King Gondorp taking a position ahead of Tamas Gal in towards turn number 1, and also Lekowski making a position ahead of Daniel Koyer in towards that first corner. Great move there from those two to put themselves into first and third position. Closing in behind is Paul Eckelmeyer, currently sitting in that net 5th position. Still, either way, even if he gets 5th position, it would be his best result this season. So Paul's on course for a great result as he closes in on the back of the Ferrari in towards the De La Rozier chicane. Not making a bit of a move there, bit of a jump on the curb from Daniel. That gives Paul an inside line in towards the Lesmo 1. He goes side by side with the Ferrari. They still take it side by side in towards the second Lesmo. Who will be ahead? It will be Paul Eckelmeyer into 4th. He goes great overtake there. Obviously taking advantage of Daniel going a bit too bouncy on that curb. Lost a bit of time. Nearly went into the gravel. Did the Ferraris. Max Grossman to get to 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. And to say that, I'm surprised there's only been one driver with a 3-second penalty, because there's been so many track limits issues in qualifying. It seems like no one's done it in the race.
Yeah, good stuff from them thus far, as now both Tycho Hardy and Race MTS going to peel off into the pit lane to take off their medium tyres after 15 laps. We're on lap number 16 now. We're past the halfway point in this Grand Prix. Where will these guys emerge in comparison to the medium runners who have started, of course, on that set of the softs? They're now going right towards the end of this Grand Prix. They're definitely going to be a long ways back, but with that soft tyre, they're going to be incredibly quick. As look at everyone weaving in towards turn number 1. Max Grosspointer retiring in the pit lane there. Paul Eckelmeyer through on Daniel Koyer. I believe that is Andre Tarby. You can also in a scrap with Daniel Shelson with the freshest tyres in this train. Shelson wasting nothing at the minute. He's going through on Andre Tarby. You can get himself into 11th now, trying to go up the inside of his fellow Daniel and towards the chicane. He'll get up the inside of the Ferrari. Great stuff from them, but he's forced ever so slightly wide, and Andre Tarby will see himself back up the inside in towards Lesmo 1. They go still wheel to wheel. Great racing between the Veloce Academy driver and the Race Clutch representative of Andre Tarbucan. Tarbucan will come out on top for the time being, but Daniel Shelton still, he wants these moves.
Yeah, and he's going to try and fight for it even more. We can see that, you know, even though he's got that one lap old newer tyre, we can see the more grip he's got and the more traction he can carry through the corners than the lots of the other drivers in this train. He's got a great run out of the Ascari chicane. He's going to head down towards the Parabolica. I don't think he's going to gain enough to get onto the back of Andre Tarbucan, because in the top 3 pit, that's Jerry Van Bussel, Joost Noordijk and Bradley Holdham. 2 on the mediums, 1 on the hards. We'll see what tyres they choose on to go on to. Tycho Hardy and Ray Imtiaz went on to soft. I think they'll also follow suit onto a set of soft tyres. Great takes from Daniel Kjellson. He's using a bit of battery to the inside. It goes on Andre Tarbucan in towards, well, towards turn when he goes. He's still got quite a long run until he hits that braking zone. We've also got him gaining on the back of Daniel Kerr. Has he got to move on the back of the Ferrari? No, as they head in towards the braking zone. But Paul Eckermore also gaining on the back of Simon Lekopsky in towards that first corner. But Keane going up, doing a great job to still lead these races ahead of Tamas Gal, who started in ninth. I thought at one point, is he going to get up to the second? I didn't think he would, but at this point, I can definitely call him going for a podium, maybe even a third victory of the season.
Still 11 laps to go, Nathan. Don't count your chickens. I mean, anything can happen at the moment. We're still not considering the soft runners who have just pitted now. Tycho Hardy only 2.5 seconds back from Andrei Tarabukin and the rest of this train. Of course, it's one thing to catch, it's a whole other ball game to overtake.
It's all right, yeah. So Sabino went sideways at the exit. Les Moore, I thought he was red, but luckily he caught the car. He's been able to think about Ray. Sorry to cut you off, but that did scare me. He went completely sideways coming out of the corner.
Well, Race Imtiaz is through on Sergio Sabrino. Of course, Sergio with 5-lap-old medium tyres compared to 1-lap-old softs. It's going to be night and day, the difference between those two tyres. A lot of smoke coming off of Ascari there. I'm not too sure what's happened. Maybe if someone's had a trip through the gravel trap. Tycho Hardy, I previously mentioned he's 2.5 seconds to the back of Andrei Tarabukin. That is now under 2 seconds, so he is gaining at a rate of knots to this train. That is without DRS as well, so incredible time being made up by these soft runners, especially if the leader's going to be fighting like we've seen. They're going to catch in no time. Here comes Szymon Lekomski up the inside and towards turn number 1 of Tamas Gal. Not going to be able to find that move this time. But what about Paul Eckelmeyer in behind now, trying to stick his nose on Szymon Lekomski? I believe he's just about going to be able to hold the fort. These guys not really fighting like we've seen in previous laps, I think, because they know the threat that is Tycho Hardy, Race Imtiaz, Jerry Van Bussel, Joost Noordijk, all of these guys, Nathan, on the fresh softs. They're going to be on their tails very, very soon.
They are, or maybe these guys have got a chance to get themselves onto some decent points. They're currently sitting in that 10th and 11th position. Obviously, we've got the likes of the top two. That's Cecil and Liam Stevens have yet to pit in this race, so when they pit, that'll move Tycho up into 8th and it'll move Race up into 9th. But obviously, they've got to catch onto the back of that train. They've done so already within one lap. They've got themselves just outside that 1 second gap of that train from 3rd down to 9th. So maybe, Dan, these could be contenders for this race, depending on how long those soft tyres hold on for. That's the only thing they're going to have to worry about. We've got Jerry Van Bussel as well, but he's got a 2 second gap to gain before he catches onto the back of the other two soft runners. So we'll see how that can work out for him, and lots of Joost Noordijk and Bradley Holdham as well, who's sitting in 14th and 15th position. And Jan Harde, he's dropping further down. I don't know if he's still got that damage, but he's 4 seconds back off everyone now. That's 15 and above. You can see Daniel Kjels looking for a move on the back of Daniel Kyer in towards turn 1. He's on those 6th lap old tyres, 1 lap newer than everyone else in this train, apart from Tamas Gal. Heading towards the brakes. We can see Keane Goldup make a lead. We can see Simon Lekomski pop himself up into that provisional 2nd spot. And then we can also see Tamas Gal trying to gain back in on the back of the McLaren. Has he got to run in towards the De La Rocha chicane? I don't think he will do, but he's going to gain quite quickly. You can see Simon moves to the inside line to defend from the Alpine. Further back, we can see Daniel Kyer gaining on the back of Yeltsin, but not enough to make a move in towards that chicane. But now Tycho Hardy is right in the hunting grounds of Andrei Tarabukin, just 4/10 separated in those two as they head in towards Les Mo's 1 and 2. It's only going to be chaos for Tycho, it's going to be cheers for Tycho.
Of course, Tycho Hardy at the minute now just 2.5 tenths to the rear of Andrei Tarabukin. He's got to pick these guys off one at a time if he wants to maximise these softs and get them towards the end. He can't be going up the inside willy-nilly, going for those moves. Is now in towards Ascari. Off the exit is where we're going to see the difference in grip between these softs and the medium tyres in the slipstream now of Andrei Tarabukin. Of course, no DRS down at this straight. It's actually Andrei Tarabukin closing and going for the move on Daniel Kyer to the outside of Alboreto. So close to contact between the pair of them, and Tarabukin has got that one all wrong. He's now sacrificed his exit completely. Here comes Tycho Hardy in towards turn number 1. Can he try and get 2 into 1? Tarabukin through on Daniel Kyer. Tycho Hardy will follow him through. Andrei Tarabukin, I mean, he looks like he's a gazelle running from the lion that is Tycho Hardy into the braking zone. They go, he hops over the curb there. Andrei Tarabukin's doing a great job of defending from Tycho Hardy. Further up the order, Szymon Lekomski has got through on both Keane Goldop and Tamas Gal. Meanwhile, here comes Tycho Hardy to the outside line of Andrei Tarabukin to get this move around the outside. Now have the inside for the next left-hander through the chicane. They go, little bit of a nudge, but Tycho Hardy's through, and that is 2 off the board.
Yeah, and great move. They also saw Race Imtiaz have a bit of a tap on the back of the Alpine as they head through in towards the first Les. We've got Daniel Kyer also sitting behind. It's the inside line for Race Imtiaz, and he gets a move doing a bit of contact between him and Tarabukin. Tarabukin nearly goes around that, allows Daniel Kyer through a bit of contact with Kyer and Imtiaz. as they head down now in towards the score. I don't think there'll be much of a move made by any of them in towards this next corner, unless Andre can get a bit of a run and send it to the inside. No, he backs off. I thought there was going to be a bit of a move made there by Tarabuki, but no, he's more cleverer than that, and he sits behind. But Togo Hardy, 3/10 back now to Daniel Kjelsen, who's in net 5th. So at the moment, it is 6th position for Togo Hardy in his race. Imtiaz has lost a lot of time on that pack after that move with Tarabuki in towards Lesmo too, so he's going to try and gain that 1 second, gain himself back inside that 1 second gap as Liam Stevens, no, sorry, that's Max Wiesel going into pits, means Liam Stevens takes the lead, but Lukomski's right behind him in towards turn 1. I know these two are together at Svoloche Academy, so I don't think Liam Stevens will hold his teammates up too much as they head in towards turns 1, and we can also see Paul Eckemeier looking to get closer to the back of Tamashka. Remember, Tamash has got 10 lap all time, so he will be a little bit slower than the others. We can see Liam Stevens just pulling off out the way. Great there from the Mercedes driver just to pull out the way to let everyone through without causing any issues.
Yeah, very, fair play from Liam Stevens there. He doesn't want to play favourites with any of his teammates, so very nice to see from him that he's going to let everyone go on through. Race Imtiaz trying to go for the move on Joost Noordijk, who's actually just got through with ever so slightly fresher soft tyres. He's only 1.3 seconds to the rear of Tycho Hardy, who's having a bit of trouble breaking into the top 5 at the minute, but off the exit of Lesmo 2, he's got a good run on Daniel Kjelsen. Nathan, you're absolutely right about the ERS situation. Tycho Hardy's burnt his battery up completely. Daniel Kjelsen still with 50% in the battery, can defend at needs to Tycho Hardy, so it's a great stuff from Daniel Kjelsen to really save the ERS despite being in these front fights all this race so far. He's done a fantastic job of ERS management, and that is going to reward him towards the end of this Grand Prix with slightly fresher tyres as well than everyone in front of him. He's got 8 lap old tyres at the minute. That's 2 lap fresher than Tamas Gal, 1 lap fresher than his teammate Lukomski, Godendorp and Eckelmeyer. Jerry Van Bussel through on Daniel Koyer. Here they are at the front though. It's Shimon Lukomski through, oh my word, 4 wide almost. In towards that first corner they go. Oh my word, Tamas Gal comes out with the lead. Shimon Lukomski in a second. Third it's King Gondorp in second. Third is Lukomski. Daniel Kjelsen through on Paul Eckelmeyer.
Well, I got scared because at one point Paul actually hit the back of, I think it was Shimon in towards turn 1, so I thought it was going to go around at full speed, but you can see Daniel to the inside, goes to move on his teammate, but a contact between the two McLarens as they head through, and he'll now put Paul right on the tail of Daniel as they head in towards Lesmo 1 with the outside maneuver 4. Then he has to mind, but a contact in towards the corner. That allows Tygo Hardy to get through on Paul. Great move there from Tygo. Can Paul try and hold it around the outside? Surely he's going to try to, but he can't. Tygo forces his way through. Great move there. Yes, Norite goes through, but a contact that's Paul into the wall.
Oh, whoa!
He actually spins the car, and that's Paul Raiden. Oh, what it could have been, and that is a virtual safety car in this race. Oh my goodness!
I don't think he lost that. I think he turned into the wall there. Something happened with Paul Eckelmeyer.
Yeah.
It
looks like he did it on purpose.
He did.
He turned.
I really do think he did, because we got a terrible onboard shot like they get with the F1 game, and I can actually see the safety car. Is the safety car out? Safety car's coming onto the circuit. It's not showing up on screen, but Paul Eckelmeyer bins it on purpose, brings out the safety car on lap number 22. Everyone's coming into the pit lane now. Tamas Gal, Kian Gondorp, they're both filing in. Shimon Lukomski, Daniel Kjelsen as well. He's going to be botching behind his teammate. Very unfortunate. Safety car's out at this point.
No, Max Wiesel's going to take the lead. This is...
Oh my, what? Max? Huh? He gets his... Oh, okay.
I don't know where to think of this. Max Wiesel takes the lead. I shouldn't laugh, but what has just happened?
Someone's going to be in trouble, I reckon, with the stewards.
A lot of trouble.
Okay. Right. Alright, okay. Max Wiesel's in a great position at the minute. However, he is on 2 lap older tyres than Tamas Gal and everyone in behind. But
I think he can defend it. I think we saw Joseph Floke in Austria do it. He was on old mediums, everyone else was on brand new softs. But it did remind me a little bit of Fernando Alonso in this case, an older driver. Bit of, purposely made safety car, possibly. But I think it's hard to defend what Paul did there. He turned in, he told him turn left. And I think it is quite disgraceful, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no need for that. If that happened, just either pull over or let everyone through and then go to the pits, or just carry on and pit and retire. You don't need to purposely bin yourself. And to me, I think he tried to DNF the car, because that should have DNF'd the car. He hit the wall at 130 miles an hour and it should have popped the wheel off. But no, he kept the front wing, and it looks like he tried to do it again. But yeah, Paul Ekamar seems to have got himself into a little bit of trouble there.
Who's been caught with his hand in the cookie jar there? Absolutely, because we were on board with Paul Ekamar whilst that happened. I knew something was going to go wrong.
Both of us was, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous, but you know, it's up to the stewards to decide what is going to happen, and that's my win prediction. Was it my win prediction? Paul Ekamar? I think it was. That's my win prediction out of the.
What was your win prediction?
I'm pretty sure it was Paul Ekamar. I had faith in him.
Mine was Daniel. He's in 7th, so.
It's not bad. It's not a bad shout at the moment. Anything can happen at this point. Got mandatory 2 laps under the safety car. We've just completed 1. Now Max Wiesel, who was completely out of this race, leads this Grand Prix ahead of Tamas Gał in 2nd. 3rd is Kian Gondop. 4th, Szymon Lekomski. Then Tycho Hardy is in 5th. He'll definitely feel very hard done by what's happened. He's still up the order though. He's in a decent position of P5. Joost Noordijk as well. He's had a great race coming from 13th on the grid. Tycho Hardy started 15th. He's up 10 spots in this Grand Prix. Definitely the candidate for driver of the day. Nathan, it's looking like that we are going to come back onto the circuit, back into the racing conditions with 3 laps to go, because now Rishan Jacobs has caught up to the pack, and he's we should get going on lap number 25.
Which means there'll be no DRS, will there? Or there might be. No, there won't be, will there? No DRS.
1 lap?
No. Oh, there will be.
Wait, is it 1?
There won't be, will there?
No idea, to be complete. I think it's 1 lap of DRS, and they're only going to get to use it down in towards Ascari. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So we're only going to get 1 instance of DRS. Definitely going to be a saving grace for Max Wiesel in this one. Hello, what?
Did Rock cut out again? You disappeared for a second for me.
Oh, I think.
I think it might be my connection.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I'm definitely still live and everything. But I was saying that no DRS is going to be a saving grace to Max Wiesel. We should get the words from the stewards. We've got plenty of wells. Lots of wells in the chat. But Nathan, lap number 25 is about to start. Max Wiesel leading the way. This race is, it's about to get out of control.
It is. It's going to be chaotic. It's a little bit reminding me of what happened in Austria. And
I think Nathan's dropped out.
4 positions all throughout the field, and Tycho Hardy, I think, in this point, is probably my driver of the day. If he can keep it till the end, that is for sure, because we don't know what's going to happen. And Max Wiesel will lead them away. A little bit later on the throttle as they head down towards turn 1. And Dan, can you still hear me?
Yeah, no, I think you're all good now.
Okay, all good. So we'll see what Max can do, and he's leaving it quite late, isn't he? Down towards that line. He's gone. He's caught Tamas Gał off guard very well from Max Wiesel, and that's Sergio Spinner into the pits and retired from the race.
Interesting DNF there from Sergio Sobrino. Look at them, 3 wide for P3 in this Grand Prix. Tycho Hardy is through on Szymon Lekomski, and now looking for the move on Kian Gondorp off the exit of the corner. They're going to run wheel to wheel through here on lap number 25. No DRS, of course. They're still side by side as they head through Curva Grande. It's Kian Gondorp on the inside, outside line for Tycho Hardy. That'll switch to the inside now for the next chicane. Tycho Hardy braking later, braking braver than his F7R teammate, and there he is up the inside now into P3 from 15th on the grid.
Yeah, great move there from Tycho. He's now in a position to take a podium, maybe even try and fight for victory, depending how much Max Wiesel holds the likes of Tamas Gał up. They're 2 tenths apart, the 2 leaders are, as they head down towards Ascari. I think at one point Tamas Gał was pushing Max through in towards the Della Roja chicane. You can see how much more speed Tamas is following through, but he actually stays behind. He chooses to stick behind Max for now as they come through. As they head now out of Ascari down towards the final corner to begin lap 26.7, the penultimate lap of this race. We've got lots of Lekomski trying to gain in, but we can also see Joost Noordijk. He's in 6th, he's like 13th. He's also looking to get some decent points on the board, but we'll see. Do we get a move from Tamas Gał on Max Wiesel down towards turn 1? Because you can see Max's tyres are older. They are a lot more worn, so they're going to lose some tyre. They're going to lose some grip, especially in some of the lower speed corners. It's going to be Tamas Gał to the inside line. He will take that lead if he can, but they're just going to run side by side for now. Has the Alpine got enough? I think he just about has on the back of Max, but Tycho Hardy's arriving on the scene. Can he make a move? No, he's 6 back for now. They get close to contacting towards turn 1. You can see further back the 2 Daniels fight for. Oh, that's, I think, Lekomski around. He had a bit of a contact. He's now down to P7. He ghosted there for a few drives. Daniel Kai's popped back out behind Lekomski as they head down towards the Curva Grande. Jan Halliday gaining on the back of Kaya. We've got Andres Harabukin looking to move around the outside at Curva Grande on the back of Jan Halliday as well. And still, Dan, there's chaos everywhere.
Yeah, still everyone keeping their noses intact though, but they might be changing that at the minute. Andrei Terabik, a little bit of contact with Daniel Koy there, and Jan Halliday indeed, as now they head through Lesmo 1 and 2 for the penultimate time in this race. It seems like Andrei Tarabukin has got the better of Jan Halliday at the minute. Still, though, off the exit of the corner, they look like they were still fighting for that one. So on lap number 26 of 27, coming up to the final lap in this race, Tycho Hardy, heartbreak for him there through Ascari, gets a penalty. So does Jerry Van Bussel. It's unraveling for AlphaTauri at the minute. That is really going to hurt their chances of taking some good points in this race. Now, on to the final lap of this race. Tamas Gal from 9th on the grid, Max Wiesel from 10th. Who's taking the win?
Well, Max, as you can just see, he just hasn't got the grip through that final corner. The gap 7/10. DRS is enabled. That DRS will be down towards Ascari. So there's going to be one shot of DRS. So I don't think it's going to be enough. You can see Tycho Hardy trying to get in the back of the Red Bull. Hasn't got enough speed. You've got Daniel Kjelsen trying to get in the back of Joost Noordijk as well. And obviously, if Joost doesn't get that DRS and Daniel does, that could give Daniel a position. We also got Jan Halliday getting himself ahead of Andrei Tarabukin in towards turn 1 as well to pop himself into P9. He will get that P8 because of that penalty for Tycho Hardy, which is a big shame. He might as well, at this point, drop out to the points in this race. Coming through, I think Tamas Gal might have it held off. We can see Andrei Tarabukin round his... Oh, there's a big crash! That's Jerry Van Bussel ends the race. Andrei Tarabukin also ends the race on the final lap.
Bradley Holden
Caught up as well, and Richard Jacobs and Paul Eckelmeyer.
What has happened there? Massive accident at the final laps of this race. Meanwhile, Andrei Tarabukin out of this Grand Prix. His teammate, no one's going to be able to contest him at this point. Tamas Gal heading through Ascari for the final time. Max Wiesel nowhere near his championship rival at the minute. He's already won 2 races this season. Tamas Gal, it's looking like it's his championship for the taking. Tycho Hardy, with the penalty in hand, will still go for the move on Max Wiesel. Kian Gondorp could still try and snatch a podium out of this race, but off the exit of the final corner for the final time, Tamas Gal to the line will take victory in very convincing style here. He wins by over a second to Max Wiesel in second. Third, Kian Gondorp after Tycho Hardy's penalty. Chaos as now they head down in towards turn number 1 with front wings flying everywhere. Tamas Gal, that is an uncontestable victory. Great race from him, from 9th on the grid, up 8 spots to take the win.
Indeed, and pending obviously penalties at this moment, it looks like Tamas Gal will have a 20-point gap going into round 7, so even more breach than that gap to Max Wiesel, who, look, he got himself that second. If that safety car didn't controversially arrive, Max, I think actually Tamas might be leading the championship by quite a large bit. So great there for Tamas to get himself through on Max, and also great for Max to take second place. And also King Gondorp with another podium this season. He's also doing a great job. I think he's on his 3rd podium this season. Is the Alfa Romeo, but we can see the final classification of the Monza Grand Prix. It's Tamas Gal who takes victory ahead of Max Wiesel in second, and King Gondorp right at the podium. We have Daniel Kjelsen in 4th, Joost Noordijk in the top 5 from 13th. Great race from him. Then we have Simon Lukomski in 6th, Daniel Kaya 7th. Tycho Hardy, unfortunately getting that penalty, drops down to 8th from 2nd. You have Jan Halliday in 9th, and then Race Imtiaz round at the top 10 for the Williams team. You have Liam Steens in 11th, Paul Eckelmeyer 12th, Richard Jacobs 13th, Bradley Holden 14th, Jerry Van Bussel, Andrei Tarabukin, Sergio Spino, Max Gross point of the drivers we lost in this race. And yeah, I want to know what happened at the end with those, I think, 5 drivers involved with that incident. It was Paul Rushan, Bradley, Jerry and Andre all involved in it down at turn 4, which is quite a slow section of the track, so I'm surprised to see such carnage happening into there. But I definitely didn't expect to see Jonathan Tint on the grid take 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, certainly an interesting way to end this race. You actually got Kian Gondorp in 3rd correct as well. So, yeah, really well done. I think you got 2 out of 3 of your predictions. Yeah, you predicted Max in 2nd.
Paul.
And then,
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, Paul saved you there, I think. Yeah, unfortunately, Daniel Coyle, your pick to win was in 7th, but my pick was 12th. And I'd imagine... you know, after what's happened here today, might not be showing his face around here. I'm not too sure what's happened there, and I think best not to really talk about it all too much. But we'll have a little chat about it, Nathan. The that safety car looked very much on purpose to me, and it just so happened to conveniently work out for Max Wiesel. If we have Max Wiesel in the interview room, I'm sure we could ask about it, but I'd imagine there's no foul play there with Max Wiesel. I don't think he'd have called for that. He's a very honourable man, a very mature driver as well, so I definitely think that he played no part in that. But Paul Eckelmeyer, interesting what's happened, and he's just turned into the wall. He got I don't deny, Nathan, that he got punted off the circuit, but he came back on and turned right into the wall.
Yeah, it seems they're trying to take the 8-paid racing strategy here in Monza. And someone said in the chat, people didn't crash on purpose, he got killed. Well, if he got killed, that means well, Nelson Piquet never crashed into... Was it Nelson Piquet crashed into a wall on purpose at Singapore? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was him, Junior. Not the real one. He's, I think, in his 70s. So yeah, but we'll leave that one to kind of simmer down. We'll leave the stewards to it. I think Kryptonite will have a lot to say about that one. He always has a lot to say, of course, as the head steward at PSGL. But to kind of digest what happened, I think in general it was a crazy race, but I think we have got Tamas Gal in the waiting room for an interview.
Alright, then I'll bring us over to the interview screen there, and we can talk to Tamas Gal once I drag him into the commentary box. There he is in the waiting room just now, and we can talk to our race winner for the third time this season. Tamas, must feel good.
It does feel good. After that quali, the chicane is quite, yeah, no comment on this game. So I was quite far off from the PB, but I knew that the race will be carnage anyways. Just was saving ERS and tires and just to have the advantage for the last laps. And then the safety car came out, put on the new softs, and yeah, I mean, I just gapped Max. I knew that he had like 2 laps all the tires, I think, and I just gapped him the lap before, and I knew that if I do that, then I can easily win.
Yeah, and it worked out for you, and now you've got a very firm grip on this championship. We're past the halfway point in the season. You've got about a 20-point lead to second place at the minute. Are you confident you can carry this through to win the title?
Yes.
I like that. Short, sweet, and to the point. Incredible stuff there. And now, next week, Singapore we are headed to next. How are you feeling around that track?
Honestly, I never had a league race there before, so it will be quite funny. And also I will be racing in the E-Series, so we will see how practice will go, but I will just do my best like I do always, and just grab a few points, even if I finish ahead of Max or Daniel. Like, if I even lose points, then maybe I just lose like maximum amount of 16 and I'm still 4 points clear in the championship if I don't get any points. But I don't see it this way. I'm seeing it this way, that I want to win, and we will see how it goes. Singapore also a street track, so it will be probably as carnage as in Monza. Monza is just, yeah, I don't know, every single league race I see there are just crashes everywhere. I don't know how it will be in Singapore, but we will see.
Yeah, well, really well done for your third win of the season. That's all from me. Nathan, anything you want to say to our race winner?
I've got no questions, but yet again, just congratulations on your third victory of the season, Tamas. It seems like now it's after last game and after all the unluckiness and issues with pressure, it seems everything so far he's going so well. So yeah, just enjoy the victory and hope to see you again near the top step of the podium next week.
Yep, thank you, and have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you to Tamas for joining us in the commentary box. I don't believe that we have got anyone else waiting for an interview, so I'll drag us back over to the intermission scene so we can talk about that race. I mean, other than the obvious thing, it was a great Grand Prix. It was really fun to watch, and there was battles all the way through. Gotta say, incredibly impressed with Tycho Hardy this evening. Unfortunate about that last penalty. Without that, definitely driver of the day, but unfortunately it's not the case for him there, and real shame that it ended up that way for both AlphaTauri drivers actually. Simultaneously, they got at the same corner pretty much at the same time, so really unfortunate for the pair of them. They just both misjudged the chicane. I'd imagine, of course, Ascari, so difficult for track limits. Nathan, you remember me in qualifying saying that it's always Ascari that catches me out personally. Looks like we're no different from these drivers.
Well, for me, it's normally every single corner that catches me out, apart from Curva Grande, 'cause that's quite a simple corner. Apart from that, every single corner I end up crashing out at least once, and I think we had at least one crash at every corner apart from turn 1. I think that was the only corner where nothing actually happened, which It's quite surprising, isn't it? That Retifili chicane is where we see most of the carnage, and it was all down at the two Lesmos, then at the Della Rossi chicane, and also I think we had a couple of instances there in Parabolica as well near the end. But it was a really interesting race. It was really entertaining to watch, and obviously seeing lots of different drivers all around the field for points. We had a bit of a mixed grid, and well, Max Wiesel was then last, got up to second. And what could have happened to Liam Stevens if he didn't pit? He pitted one lap before that safety car arrived. Maybe Liam could have also put himself into a position to try and take a podium if he didn't pit.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how this race could have ended without that safety car. Definitely stewards are going to be looking into the actual cause of that, but no discredit to any of the drivers that ended up on the podium. You've got to admire Max Wiesel for trundling along for so long at the back of the field just by himself. I've done that a few times in league racing where you're just so far off the pace. Well, you've had a crash or something, or you're so far off the pace that you never see anyone else. It's so demoralising to keep on going. But Max Wiesel, he kept at it, and he was rewarded for his efforts. So there you go. No discredit to him there. No discredit to anyone who might have benefited from that safety car. But in the end, Tamas Gal definitely did deserve that win. I say more than anyone else. He fought his way from 9th on the grid. I said at the beginning, Nathan, that I've never seen him start lower down the order than finish right at the top. I've been proved wrong. More than happy to be proved so. Great race from him. 3 wins now in the bag, and it's looking like this championship he might be uncatchable now.
Indeed, and I was having a look at the replay of that incident on Twitter. It looks like he actually tried to take out Jerry Van Bussel as well. So he put more to add to the balling part there. But I think this championship, it's going to be, I think, a lot better than last season's in terms of competition. Because last season, once we had the first 3 or 4 rounds, I think Jack and Mirko ran away completely, didn't they? And no one could really catch up to the end. But I think here, even if we don't have a fight for first itself, we've got to fight for second then. I think we'll have that all season, because it has been, I think, a really good start. And we've seen many drivers from many different places on the grid, all on the podium. Or I think we've had, 4 victors this season out of 6 rounds, which is always nice to see as well. Multiple drivers taking that top step. So yeah, I think this is going to be a very good season. We've obviously got a few races to go. We've got lots of Singapore, Spain as well. It's going to cause a bit of issues. I know Spain's had its controversy with the bump at the final corner, which moved from the pit lane to the track. I don't know if it's gone now, and if it hasn't, I'm sure Spain might get replaced, because it's quite a big issue, that bump at the final corner. But I think we've also got quite a few exciting races. I think we still end off the season. Yeah,
it should be a very fun end to season 35 that we're on now. I mean, I'm getting lost with how many seasons there are. It's my 9th PSGL season. I'm getting old now in this game, so do bear with me. But I think that is all that we have to talk about for this evening. Lot to unpack from that Italian Grand Prix, and I said it was going to be an incredible race at the start. Definitely was proved right in the end. Thank you to everyone for tuning in this evening. I do hope that you enjoyed this stream. You'll see us next week, same time, for the Singapore Grand Prix. But for now, that is everything. Thank you once again all so much for joining. And I forgot actually to plug the socials. Please, if you haven't already, do consider liking and subscribing to the PSGL YouTube channel, as well. You can find us on socials at PremierSimGL. That's on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to keep up to date with all your PSGL news, you can join the Discord. The link will be in the description. If you want to follow myself on Twitter, it is at DanfieldF1_. If you want to follow Nathan, it is RichieF1 with the I's replaced by the ones. Thank you everyone once again so much for tuning in for the 3rd time. Thank you. We will see you next time in Singapore. But for now, thank you and good night.
He's got the inside, all here is through, on the left-hand side, hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now, to the last couple of corners now, his finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the ghost is back. Jarno Red Beer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.